I gave you this diagram in the group also. In this simple diagram, I have made arrangement or I have done 4 VLANs. Now the question arises is, first of all, just to brief you, what is VLAN? So somebody has to tell me what is VLAN. Dani, please explain me fast why we should have VLANs. Hello? Nobody? Or typing? Okay. So let me explain you. Yeah, somebody unmute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Here.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's a basically dividing a network into logical networks and
Okay.
avoid flooding or broadcasting to other networks.
Okay. So basically what you're doing, you're trying to divide your single network, okay, into multiple virtual LAN. Okay. Now in our scenario also, if you see why I'm taking this topic here on firewall, because suppose you are having 10 departments and every department is carrying some VLAN. Your company has divided the network into multiple VLAN, virtual LAN. Now if your company has divided their network into multiple VLAN, then that in that case all the PCs who want to go on internet or who want to go to branch network or any network other than their LAN network, then they definitely should have a gateway. So as per my scenario, if you see, my gateway is my ASA. That means ASA is protecting the LAN and demilitarized zone. Okay. So in this case, what happens? Two department, two different subnet, because that is the requirement of a VLAN. If you are making 50 VLANs, then you have to divide those 50 VLANs into multiple VLAN. You'll keep multiple VLAN ID except for VLAN 1, which is the default VLAN or native VLAN. So you will start from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can go up to 1001. Because some of the IDs are reserved, like VLAN 1 is reserved, 1004, something is reserved. So basically, you'll be using VLAN, okay, for each and every department. So their gateways also differ. Okay. Then last time when we did, or you must have done router on a stick. If you have done router on a stick, long back in CCNA, we used to have a topic, router on a stick. Then they removed it and they made it SVN, switch virtual interface. Instead of depending on a stick, because one router who is going to do routing, who is going to do inter VLAN routing also for all the VLANs, and one connection. So we used to call it router on a stick. If you see a handicap taking a stick and walking, and for some reason somebody remove the stick or somebody kick the stick, he will fall down because he is totally dependent on that stick. Somebody meet with the accident, and if there are fractures, they will always use this kind of stretcher or stick. So way back they removed this old method and they came out with SVI, Switch Virtual Interface. So my ASA no doubt carries 6 interface or 8 interface. I'm talking about physical gig interface. Start from 0 by 0 or 0 by 1 and also have management interfaces. So how many department you can occupy with this limited interfaces? Not possible to have 50 physical interface on one ASA. Not possible. You have 50 departments. Every department is having a different subnet. Every department is having a gateway. So yes, can you make a single interface or can you divide your single interface into multiple sub-interface in ASA? Yes, you can do that. But the condition is if you are dividing your physical interface into sub-interface, you can't use physical interface. Same what we used to do on router and a stick. If you are using gig interface, you're making it, you have to make it trunk. And then you go on creating sub-interface. When you're creating sub-interface, you have to map it with some VLAN. Like say interface G0 by 1.10. So that time we used to say encapsulation.1q10. That is 10 is the VLAN ID and the encapsulation is .1q. And then you give the IP address to that particular sub interface. Otherwise, it will not accept. So same way here also, if you are taking a firewall and creating VLANs, you'll be needing sub interface. And every sub interface has to get mapped with a VLAN. Then only it will accept the IP address. Otherwise, it will give an error that your sub interface will not work because you have not mapped any VLAN ID to this sub interface. So if you see the diagram, in this diagram, I made a small topology. In this topology, you see I have created 4 VLANs, VLAN 10 and 20 for LAN, and VLAN 30, 40 for the servers. And if you see carefully, there is only one interface connected to the switch, single interface, that is E1 and E2. Talking about this interface. But it is getting divided into 2 VLANs. One is 10, one is 20, and one is 30 and 40. One interface can be given it to 2 different departments or 2 different VLANs, or you can say 2 different subnets. Somebody must have done subnetting here on class C network. That is why you got this 192.168.10 and then 192.168.20. So if you're doing subnetting, if you're making different subnet, if you're increasing your network portion, you will be using different altogether subnets, and every time the gateway, you cannot have a single IP address as a gateway for VLAN 10 also and 20 also. It will not accept. If you want to leave your country and go out, for that you don't have to go to another country's airport. You have to go to your own airport and quit or exit the country. How can you go to somebody else's airport and quit the country? No. You have to have your own gateway to exit that. So in this topic, you see, there is only one physical interface, but then it is being divided into 2 sub interfaces. And the network for these 2 VLAN is 10 and 20. How you are going to do that? So initially I explained you what is VLAN. I explained you why we are doing VLANs in this scenario, because we want all the departments finally should come to firewall before going on internet, get them checked, match the policy. Anybody visiting from outside on a particular network or VLAN, okay, then firewall should know about it. Firewall should forward the traffic to them. So firewall also knows those networks, those VLAN, and work accordingly. So what I'm doing now, I'm just trying to show you. See, here we are not going to do VLAN on the switch, because I'm not here to explain or give you lecture on routers or switch. I told you in the beginning only. If you don't know these topics, you're going to find it difficult. So it is better you know the topics like VLAN, inter-VLAN routing, what is switch virtual interface, how to configure VLAN, okay, how to do inter-VLAN routing with the help of multi-layer switches. All those topics, you should know it. You should know. So keep a habit that, don't leave reading or studying habits. Every day make it a point that you're going to do some reading work. So in this firewall, you see, I don't have any configuration. But yes, when I see my PC, I can see I have considered this PC in HR department. That is why the name of the PC is HR LAN PC. When it comes to R4, you can see it is sales PC. That means R3 and R4 is going to act as a HR LAN PC and sales PC or sales LAN PC. Both departments are different. When it comes to server, there are two servers. Both are part of different department. Again, this server belongs to HR and the second one belongs to sales. Clear? So now, as per the requirement, we are going to configure this. Okay. So first we are going to create VLANs. How many VLANs we are going to create?
Two VLAN.
Yeah. No, four VLANs. No? Two on R9 and two on R10. So I'll go here.
Okay.
3277. Where is my switch? This switch belongs to LAN. Show VLAN. You can see I have already configured HR and sales LAN. Okay, pre-configured. I can do it also, not a big task. I can just wipe this node and I can start it. So when I say show VLAN, I can't see any VLAN. So I'm going to create VLAN 10 and I'm going to say this is my HR VLAN. I'm going to create VLAN 20 and I'm going to say this is my sales. Now, which are the interfaces that belongs to HR VLAN and sales VLAN? So you see E0 by 1 belongs to HR and E0 by 2 belongs to sales. So I say interface E0 by 1 switch port host, switch port access VLAN 10. Then I go to 2 and say switch port host, switch port access 20. So when I say show VLAN, I can see I have created 2 VLANs now. And the interfaces of these machine which are connected to the switch are being applied to a particular VLAN. Now, very important thing in this scenario is, though this is VLAN 10, this is VLAN 20, you might have 50 VLANs or 100 VLANs, whatever. The traffic of all the VLAN will come towards firewall. So if all the traffic is coming towards firewall on a single interface, then this interface has to be configured as what? Trunk. Now again, as I explained you in brief, what is the meaning of VLAN? Why we do VLANs? What is trunk? So in short, when you open a switch and when you make that switch port, that means you are telling the switch that from now onwards, this port is a switch port. When you give the command switch port, so the meaning of that command is what? Switch port. But then somebody will say, okay, if this is a switch port, what is the opposite of switch port? No switch port. Okay. So if this is switch port and if no switch port means what? If this is a switch port means it is a layer 2 port. If I say no switch port, then I am making it as a layer 3. Because when I say switch port means I am forcing this port to be in layer 2 mode, and then he won't accept any IP address. Because you must have studied OSI layers, you know IP addressing comes under which layer? Network layer. And when I talk about switches, it comes under data link layer. No doubt, we have multi-layer switches also. So when I say if it is a trunk means it is going to carry multiple VLAN traffic over this link towards ASA, towards firewall. Because it's a trunk link. Now the question arises is, suppose I am having 2 switch and if I want to make trunk, how I am going to do this? Simple. I go on this particular interface, say 1 by 1 and say switch port trunk encapsulation .1q and then I say switch port mode trunk. So I am forcibly making this port a trunk port. So if I am telling you The word switch port means layer 2, and if I'm telling you the word no switch port means layer 3, then what is the opposite of trunk? Opposite of trunk is switch port mode access. And I'm telling that the 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 configuration, if I'm telling you switch port mode access means, again I'm telling my switch boss, switch port mode access. That means I am going to connect a single PC or a printer or an IP phone, any end device, any edge device on this port. That is why the term is switch port mode access. So if I am telling trunk, that means it is an opposite of access. If it is access, then it belongs to only a single PC end device. If I am converting it into trunk, that means this link is now allowing all, by default, all the VLAN traffic over him. So it's a trunk link. So if you forget to do this as a trunk link, what will happen? VLAN traffic will get stuck on switch only. It won't go to ASA. Now you must be wondering what is the command to do trunk on ASA. There is no command to do trunking on ASA. There is no command. You don't have to do trunking. So you must be thinking then where we are going to do trunk. We are going to do trunk only on E0 by 0. And this guy will automatically negotiate trunk with the help of an encapsulation protocol .1q. You have nothing to do on ASA for making it trunk. So what I will do, I will see which interface is connected to firewall, and I'm going to convert this interface into trunking. So when I say switch port trunk encapsulation .1q, and then I say switch port mode trunk, and then I say no shut, and I say show interface trunk. You see my E0 by 0 automatically got negotiated with ASA firewall on trunking, and they exchange, and they are having a default protocol .1q. That means ISL is not supported there. See how switch and ASA negotiated trunk. I just said on one side, the other side. No doubt, you must be thinking that in switches also we can do that. Yes, we have the options. If you do switch port mode trunk on both the side, it will negotiate and form trunk. But if you do switch port mode desirable one side, and if on the other side, if it is auto, it will negotiate trunk. Because desirable is going to invite auto to negotiate trunk, and they'll become trunk. Not a big deal. If you do on the other side desirable, or by default, if the switch is having a desirable port, negotiate and they will become trunk. So there is a combination. You can use trunk, you can use desirable, you can use auto. You can't use all both the side auto. But here the good news is you don't have to do trunking on the firewall. It will automatically negotiate trunk, and you can see when I said show interface trunk, you can see E0 by 0 is already on mode, that is trunk mode, and the encapsulation is being set as 802.1q. You must be knowing that this is an open standard encapsulation method. ISL was Cisco proprietary. .1q is open standard. Secondly, the overhead is also very less. It squeezes the VLAN ID inside the frame. It never adds one more, one more sticker on the frames to identify the VLAN ID. No, it squeeze. .1q squeeze the VLAN inside the frame. Anyway, that is again switching part. Clear, guys? What I'm trying to do now? So my switch part is done. Now I'll configure my firewall. So I said, okay, this one is my LAN. So I say no IP address, no shell. I told you when you're doing sub interface of any physical interface, you can't use physical interface also and sub interface also. You have to leave that physical interface idle, but you have to bring it up. So what I'll do, I will also bring this DMZ also up. Now I'm going to create E1.1. And suppose if I'm writing down the IP address 192.168. So instead of 1, what I'll do, I'll create 1.10 because my LAN is 10 and 20. No? See, you can give any ID. Start from 1 and it can go up to any number, a big number. So it is my choice now. What I am doing now, I am using a sub interface with the name similar to my VLAN ID. And I give the IP address 192.168.10.1, 255.255.255.0. And then I say no shut. Then I say name if HR. So what is the error I am getting now? VLAN must be configured for interface. So you need to first configure this and then you say HR and then you say security level 100 and then you see the configuration is accepted on E1.10. Just don't see the show run command. Show interface IP brief also is important. Show route is also important because when you see something in the routing table means that interface is configured properly and firewall recognize this interface as 192.168.10.1 and the name also. And it is writing down this as C that is connected. Now next part is I go and set the next interface which is E1. See, I'm using E1 again. First also I use E1.10. Now I'm using E1. Physical interface is only one. Only available interface on my firewall is only one. But this time I am not going to make a mistake of not mapping it with some VLAN ID. It is compulsory. You have to map it with some VLAN ID. Anything other than inside and outside the security level comes to 0. You won't believe earlier we cannot use same security level for both the interfaces. But now we can use it. Same security level. Both are LAN. Both are going towards trusted network. Or you can say semi-trusted network. Okay. Just one. So now I go and say show interface IP brief. You can see both my sub interface is being up with IP addresses. Now I go on interface E0 and say IP address 20.1.1.125.255.255.0. Then I say no shut, name if outside. Here I don't need sub interface. Security level is on. Okay. Now I'm going to create sub interface for Ethernet 2. So first I have to say no IP address, then I have to say no shut, and then I create E2.30, VLAN 30. IP address 192, no, 10.1.30.1. If you see the diagram, it is 10.1.30.30.network for VLAN 30. Anything other than inside and outside will be 0. If you map it with VLAN, he won't give you any error. So when I say show interface IP brief, guys, that time you can see that you have two subnet for your LAN and two subnet for your demilitarized zone, and they are all up. Even outside is up. So I just point it out towards outside with the default route. Anytime if I want to go, I will go to 20.1.1.2. This is pinging. Anytime if I want to go on internet, it's pinging. Anytime if I want to go to branch network, so IP-INT brief. One 172.16.10.2. So my end-to-end connectivity is perfect and through. Now let me check my LAN connectivity. See, I'm trying to ping VLAN 10, HRPC. See, I can ping it. I can even ping my sales PC. That belongs to a different subnet. That means my ASA can reach both the VLANs. That is, it can reach VLAN 10 also, it can reach VLAN 20 also. Just because there is a trunk link between ASA and switch, and I didn't do anything for forming a trunk or any configuration on ASA for trunking. But yes, trunking is there. Because without trunking, you won't get traffic of multiple VLAN out from the switch and reaching ASA. So when I say show route, I can see all these networks are considered as what? Connected. And I'm having a static default route pointing towards internet. Now, I should make this work. I should allow people to come on HR server and sales server. That would be my job. Because then only I am satisfied that yes, my VLANs are working properly. My ASA knows about it. But then for that, I have to go on one more switch and create VLANs switch. This one. So I said VLAN 30, name HR server, and then I say 40, name sales server. So when I say show VLAN, I can see 30 and 40. So can my AC ping 10.1.30.2? Because let me check my trunking. Trunking is there. Yes. So trunking was already pre-configured. Otherwise, you have to configure. Otherwise, it won't go. It won't take the ping. So now you see my firewall can ping LAN. My firewall can ping demilitarized zone also, where I have placed my servers, but of two different departments. They are not just one server.
Can you show on ASA show IP interface brief?
Yes. So interface IPP.
Okay.
Clear? So what you studied? So see, I explain you what is VLAN. You know the concept of VLAN. You know the concept of trunk. You know, but then you are thinking from firewall point of view. Because then some people may log out because they'll think I am explaining VLAN. So they must be thinking, what is this, man? I studied CCNA many times, so I know what is VLAN. Topic is VLAN, but then it is related to firewall. Suppose you are sending traffic of all your department to firewall, how he is going to handle, because all the VLANs are on different subnets and you don't have 100 interfaces on your firewall. You have only one interface or two max for doing redundant interface. But why you need two also? You can manage it with one interface also. You can go on creating sub interfaces. Only condition is you have to map it with VLAN. Clear, guys?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the main catch is what we need to test it also. Because just creating VLAN, just creating subnet doesn't make sense. I need to check it also, no? Whether it is working. Yes, yes. Tell me.
You were talking about mapping the interfaces. Can you please explain a little bit more what exactly we have to map? Like we have created a sub interfaces. Are you referring to the sub interfaces to map? If map, where exactly we have to map?
I am telling you a term called mapping VLAN ID with sub interface. Okay. I am telling that if you are configuring sub interface either on router or firewall, you have to map it with some VLAN ID. I'm telling you that.
You mean to say that we have to make it member of some VLAN, right?
Yes, yes, like that. You see the configuration on the screen.
Yeah, I got that.
Otherwise, see, you already have physical interface. So if you're creating multiple sub-interface, the confusion is what will be the network of those multiple sub-interface. So you said, no, I am having a subnet of 10, the third octave. I'm having a subnet of 20 on the second octave. So he will accept it. He will accept it, okay. So if you are, because see, physically it is only one interface. Like as a human being, you are just one single person. God made you a single person. But now you are managing multiple things. At home, your husband. At home, your daddy also for your kids. In office, if you are at senior position, your manager. You are handling multiple roles. So my one physical interface is getting divided into sub-interface, but compulsion is you have to map it with VLAN idea. Otherwise, how you are going to make it recognize? How firewall will come to know why you are creating a sub-interface? So I'm telling boss, this belongs to VLAN 10. Please be careful. Anybody switch, send you some traffic on the trunk link. This is actually for VLAN 10. And it will be definitely tagged because when I created trunk link, I use one encapsulation method called .1q. That is frame tagging encapsulation method. Frame tagging. Somebody has to tag it. Okay, this frame belongs to VLAN 10. Who is VLAN 10? HR. What is the subnet? 192.168.10. Okay, this is frame belongs to sales. What is the VLAN ID? 20. What is the subnet? 20. Firewall should know no, from where the frames are coming. Because all the frame will come on a single link. So it has to be identified. No, it has to be tagged. So tagging always remember tagging take place on trunk links, which always tag it and send it, except for native VLANs. Native VLANs go with the untagged. That is a default. You can force your switch to tag native VLAN also. Because some people might misuse your native VLAN. So what we can do? We can tell switch boss, don't send this frame without tagging native VLAN. Command is there, VLAN tag native something for native VLAN. Okay. Clear?
Yes, sir, it's clear. Thank you.
So now the
Hey,
question arises. Yeah, tell me.
can I have another question? It's related to the VLAN, but it's not a VLAN thing. It's a DHCP. Sometimes I have gone through with this scenario. Like when we change a VLAN, it change the IP address so as well. But there's a DHCP running behind. How exactly this thing works?
You mean to say in your LAN you have DSCP running, right?
Yeah,
Who is going to offer IP addresses to different VLANs.
exactly. When we change a VLAN, definitely it is going to change the IP address as well.
This is all with the help of sub interfaces. On switch also we can do that way. Okay. We can see how you're doing it on router on a stick. You're creating sub interface. On switch we create VLANs and we create SVIs. Switch virtual interface. We are creating switch virtual interface. Like
Yep.
whenever there is an election in my country, if you see, whenever there are 5 different organization or 5 different party who is campaigning for the election. So when you go on the election day, when you go down near your building, you will see 5 different tables. One is sitting there, one is sitting there, one is sitting there. You go to them, they will secretly, they will tell you where is your booth to do the voting. But at the same time, they are promoting their logo also. They might keep it somewhere hidden there. So different table for different organizations. Same way, a different pool for different VLANs. You can make that possible. Like if you're asking me in major companies nowadays we are IP phone. So we have to give IP phone also IP, which belongs to voice VLAN. We have to give IP addresses to our PCs also. Both are connected on a single link, single port. So how it is possible? Yes, it is possible. You have to do configuration on the switch. You can separate them with SVIs. Okay.
So by separating using a SPI with sub interfaces, like we are using a data service and a voice service, so we have to make a switch port to two VLAN member.
Yes, we can do configuration. I will send you the configuration later on. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. So let's come back to VLAN. What is now testing? So what we can do now? Testing. How to do the testing? I say access list out to in permit CP any to come on host 10.1.30.2 or 0. Just one access list I am using now, just to show you. For whole okay, for telnet suppose. Access list out in permit TCP any okay, and at the same time I want it for ICMP. And then I use access group out dash in interface outside. Now you see, I can go to ping 10.1.30.2. See, and then 40.2. 40.2 is up, then it will go. I allowed only for 30, no? Will not work. Allow it for 40 also. I allow it for 192 subnet also. I allow it for 20 subnet also. So when I say show run access list, see, I allowed everybody to come. Just want to show you that these VLANs are working, this trunking is working. My ASA can send your traffic to these guys. See? All the traffic is passing through ASA for different VLANs. Clear? Clear, guys? So in today's topic, what I showed you how I'm creating VLANs, how I'm doing trunking on ASA, how I'm designing a policy to allow this traffic. Again, it is important. Suppose you want sales and finance traffic should communicate with each other, but they are in same security level. They won't communicate. So if I try to ping 192.168.20.2, see, I can't ping. Which 20.2? My sales PC. If I try to ping 192.168.10.2, can't ping. So R3 and R4, they can't ping each other like this. But then you will say both are in security level 100. So high to high, they should be allowed. You are right. But then you need one more command to do that. And that command is, I should say, same security traffic permit communication between different interface with the same security level. Interface. Now you see, they can ping. See, HR can ping sales and sales can ping HR. Firewall will allow. See, both are on high, but still he was not allowing. So you need to give one command to make it possible. If you don't give, they won't communicate with each other. Clear? So I taught you how to give this, how to give same security level to both the interface. I taught you how to make them communicate with each other if they are in same security level. What is the command you have to give? Clear, guys?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye. Take care. So we end the session
Welcome,
today here.
sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.